Hey everyone, how are you? I'm doing a bit of a different video today. I'd kind of debated whether or not I wanted to do this for a while, but I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, today I'm talking about something mental health related, which is new for this channel. I'm in my bedroom. That's not for any particular reason except for the fact that the lighting is good here and my cats can't annoy me, but I hate filming in here because I feel like a teenager. Like, I don't have the rest of my apartment. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today was my mental health in particular, and that is the fact that I have borderline personality disorder. That's also called just BPD. I call it borderline because it just rolls off the tongue easier. Some people that know me quite well, or they're a big part of my personal life, they would know about that, but a lot of people don't. It's something I haven't really talked about much. I kind of worry how people feel about it, and I don't know, it's just such a private thing, and that was one of the reasons why I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this video or not. But I had looked for videos on YouTube and stuff for people who have borderline, their experience of it and their everyday life, and I found it very hard to find anything. I mean, I found a few people kind of talking about it, but not really. And it was in very specific contexts, and they were just kind of videos I couldn't get into. But the majority of the videos that I found were doctors or TED Talks, or not specifically TED Talks, but you know, those sort of layouts. Very professionally made, educational, we're psychiatrists, this is what borderline is. And then I found one little cartoon, which is actually quite nice. Or not a cartoon, an animation, I guess. If I remember, I'll link that in the description. I kind of wanted to, I guess, bring my voice to a place where there weren't many voices. I think, from what I've read, that this affects 1.6% of the population, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like 1 1/6 of a person in every 100 people that you meet. So that is quite a few. In the US, I know it's like 4 million people are diagnosed with borderline. I don't know for the rest of the world. Whenever you Google this stuff, it's always for America. So, but I'm assuming it's quite similar numbers for the rest of the world too. So borderline personality disorder is described as, and I'm reading this here so I don't get it wrong, a mental illness marked by ongoing pattern of varying moods, self-image, and behavior. These symptoms often result in impulsive actions and problems in relationships. People with borderline personality disorder may experience intense episodes of anger, depression, and anxiety that can last from a few hours to a few days. So that is what I have been diagnosed with. And to be diagnosed with that in the DSM-5, if you don't know what that is, that's the manual that mental health professionals, psychiatrists, doctors, all of that use to diagnose mental illnesses. So there's sort of criteria that you have to meet, otherwise people could be diagnosed with things they don't really have, and there could be different doctors using different diagnostic ideas. There's 9 criteria, and you have to meet at least 5 of those things to be diagnosed. If you don't meet those 5 things, you cannot be diagnosed with this. But also, it's very important before I read this to you that you don't self-diagnose if you've experienced these things, because even if you do have 5 of these symptoms, you might not actually have borderline. There's a wealth of other things that it could be. And then I've been told by psychiatrists and psychologists that have spoken to me that it's quite common that people don't have one set diagnosis of something. They have like symptoms of things and tendencies rather than just one illness. In my case, I do have this disorder, but you need to have 1 of 5 of these. So it's 1. Frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. These do not include suicidal or self-mutilating behaviors. 2. A pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. So that's basically 1 minute someone's amazing, they're the best person you ever met, and the next minute they're the spawn of Satan. 3. Identity disturbance. Markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. Number 4. Impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging, e.g. spending, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, or binge eating. And these also do not include suicidal or self-mutilating behaviors. Number 5. Recurrent suicidal behaviors, gestures, or threats such as self-mutilating behavior. So that's why the other symptoms can include self-mutilating or suicidal thoughts, because it's its own criteria. Number 6. Affective instability due to a marked reactivity of mood, e.g. intense episodic dysphoria, irritability, or anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and only rarely more than a few days. This is one of the reasons why people get bipolar and borderline confused, is that we both have mood swings, but the big difference is that people with borderline, we get mood swings quite rapidly. We'll experience something for like a few moments or a few hours, at most a few days. Whereas people with bipolar, they'll be manic for maybe even a few months, and then depressed for maybe even a few months. Could be a few weeks, could be a few months. So that's the big difference. There are a lot of other ones, but that's the big difference. Number 7. Chronic feelings of emptiness. Number 8. Inappropriate intense anger or difficulty controlling anger. And then number 9. Transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociation symptoms. Out of these 9 things, I'm going to repeat it again, you do need to have 5, and it's very important that you don't self-diagnose yourself with this. If this sounds like you, I would really recommend that you go see a professional about this. It's never a good idea to self-diagnose with anything. It's extremely dangerous. You could think that you have something that you really don't have. Maybe you have a lot of these criteria and it turns out you have something like dissociative identity disorder, maybe it's even bipolar disorder, maybe it's none of those things. It's just much more important that you see a professional if you do think that you have some illness. Out of these 9 things, I have experienced, or am experiencing, I have experienced all of them. One of them is not as intense for me anymore. My impulsivity has gone down a lot. I've been working on that since I've been diagnosed. I had originally thought for years, since I was a younger teenager, even preteen, I thought it was depression that I had, and I'd been to different therapists and different psychologists a lot, and I'd been told that I had depression, but I kept changing therapists for like a variety of different reasons. There's so many stuff like money issues, and I didn't like the therapist, and I've had a lot of really, really awful therapists that I just couldn't work with myself. And then eventually it was when I was in college the first time, I was having a really, really rough period, and I had enough, and I remember thinking to myself, there's something wrong with me. There's something really wrong with me. This is not depression. This is not how a depressed person behaves, because I know other people with depression and they don't feel the same way that I do. They don't do the same things that I do. Yes, I'm depressed a lot of the time. I'm also anxious a lot of the time. That's actually getting worse recently. So I ended up going for, it was supposed to be a 2-week assessment. It ended up to be a 3-week assessment. And I was, at the end of it, given the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. I remember telling my sister about it, and she said that scared her, because people with borderline were crazy. She didn't mean any harm by that. Me and my sister, we really do like to talk to each other openly, so she really didn't mean any harm, but before she had said that, I kind of went, am I crazy? What do you mean the people with this are crazy? And then the more you hear, because I'd never actually heard of this disorder, I didn't really know about personality disorders at all. I'd heard about narcissism, I'd heard about, which is antisocial personality disorder, but I'd heard that as being a sociopath. I didn't really know what personality disorders were, and when she said that, I had to look and I had to find out what people were saying, because I had never heard of it, so how could she know that I'm crazy? People are very harsh about it. I guess it's one of the reasons why I don't really tell people unless I feel like I can trust them, which sometimes happens for me too fast. Again, unstable relationships, idealization, and then devaluation. So I kind of found out the hard way through the internet and through some people that people don't trust people with borderline personality disorder. And honestly, I get it. I mean, I used to be a lot worse than I am now. I've been actively working to try and improve my symptoms. In the psychological community, nobody believes in a cure. there is no such thing as a cure. So this is going to be something that's with me forever. And I don't want to be a bad person. I don't want to mess up my life by doing stupid things and being reckless and impulsive and, you know, just like falling in love with somebody's self 1 minute and then throwing them away the next and ruining all my relationships. I didn't want to be that. So I've been working so hard. And I have improved a lot. And a lot of the symptoms that I have now are very internalized. I'm aware of the things that I might do because of my disorder, and I'm aware of how that might affect other people, and with practice and effort and knowledge and all of that, I've gotten better. Before that, I would have been quite bad, I would say, before my diagnosis. And I would have kind of messed over a lot of people, not even purposely, it was just the disorder making me do it. And so I understand why people would think that we're crazy or we're not trustworthy or we're monsters or horrible people, but we're not. We're, for lack of a better term, we are sick. And maybe if somebody has been diagnosed with it and they refuse to change and they refuse to try and get help or to help themselves, then maybe that's not the kind of person worth being around. If they really don't care and they really don't want to change and they really just will not do anything to ever change. But for the majority of us, we are trying to get better. And most of those who aren't trying to get better don't know that they have this. It's sort of the issue right now that I have, that I'm afraid to tell anybody that I have it in case they think that I'm a liar or a manipulator, or I'm just going to cause drama or be reckless or do stupid things around them or get them in trouble or discard them from my life or any of those things. And I know that those are things that I am capable of, but I feel like I've been trying so hard to get better. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit to see everybody who has this disorder to just have it a blanket term over them of you are a bad person, when we're not bad people. We deserve compassion just like anybody else does. I mean, people with depression, they might not be able to get out of bed some days, and yes, there's a huge stigma around that, but we're slowly as a society starting to understand that that's something that they can't really help in that moment. That's something that they just can't get out of bed. They just can't feel better. They just cannot get that will. And we're understanding people with bipolar disorder, they're going to be manic. They're going to do crazy things because they're manic, and then they're going to be really depressed and it's just going to crash. And we understand that people with schizophrenia, they might see things, they might believe things that are false. They're people that need help. But when you hear that somebody has borderline personality disorder, everybody just kind of goes, oh, stay away from them. I hate the word stigma. I really hate the word stigma. I don't know why. It's just one of those buzzwords that really bothers me, but there's a stigma. So there you go. There's a stigma against us. And I just feel like so many people don't understand, for one, personality disorders in general, because they are so ingrained with who we are. They're personality disorders. They're something that's been intertwined with our personality. But that doesn't mean that we have bad intentions. That doesn't mean that we're not capable of change. That doesn't mean that we can't be really nice people. I think as it stands right now, I'm a really nice person. And I think I always had that in me. I was never a bad person. I was a good person who did a lot of stupid things. I definitely wouldn't have been one of the worst cases of this disorder, but I did do stupid things, and I know there was never any bad intentions behind it. I know that I always meant well, and now that I know that I have this, I still mean well, but I can understand, oh, that thing you're thinking about doing, maybe it's because of your disorder, maybe you shouldn't do that. Anyway, this kind of went on for way too long. I thought this would be a quick, 5-minute little video, but I kind of got a bit emotional there. I think I want to do more videos about this. I feel like there's not... I hate the phrase that I'm about to say, but there's not enough voices speaking out about this, because, I mean, 1.6% of the population, it really doesn't sound like much, but that is a lot of people. And we are struggling. We don't want to do the things that we do, but we do them, and we're trying to be better people. At least most of us are. Of course, there's going to be people that are just kind of crappy people, and they don't care about hurting others, but that's a whole different situation. There's people like that in every walks of life. But I do want to do more videos about this. Maybe I can talk about my experience personally, you know, how I got diagnosed, how I've been improving, how I cope, all that kind of stuff. The main message that I wanted to send out now was that, yes, I do have borderline personality disorder. There are people that have this. We're not crazy. And we're not dangerous, and we're not monsters. We're just people with disorders that are struggling, but a lot of us are really good people. Yes, so I'm gonna end the video there. Let me know if you want to see more videos about this. I don't know if anybody does. I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this. I kind of hope so, because this is kind of important to me. So yeah, if you do want to see more videos about this, let me know in the comments, and subscribe and click the bell and all that so you'll know when these videos go up. And thank you so much for listening to me. I will see you in the next one. Bye.